Hi friends, welcome to my channel. I'm Tirso and I'm an art director based in New York City. As I mentioned in my last video, one of my favorite parts about my job is directing photo shoots. It's pretty difficult for me to record those live because I have my actual job to do. However, I am pretty good at retouching, so I figured why not fix some stock photos. I do want to say a couple things before diving in. First, you should do as much as possible while you're on set and not rely on retouching. Retouching can get really expensive, and also you can't fix everything in retouching either. Second, the photos that I'm using aren't just stock photos, they're free stock photos, so it's very unlikely that they have an art director on set to catch these things, but their purposes are very different from mine since I'm coming in from an editorial perspective. Lastly, I'm retouching these photos, so there's not actually that much that I can do. If I was actually on set, then I would fix it before they were approved. Here we have some cake. It's pretty minimal in composition, so there's not too many elements to work with. The first things that caught my eye were these holes in the main cake. I'm not really sure why somebody would poke something in there, but if I was on set, I would just ask the food stylist to grab a brand new cake. For now, I just removed those. I'm also seeing this pink strip here. I'm not sure what dropped onto the cake, and then there's a little bit of debris, so I would definitely clean those up on the spot. The fork is a little bit too straight here, and I'm also not sure why it's centered since there's nothing symmetrical about the photograph. This piece of cake here is a little bit too perfect also, so I would prefer that it flipped in the other direction. Now that we've done that, I'm getting a lot more movement, so compositionally this works better for me. When I first saw this photo, there is a glaring error, and I only know this because I shoot so much food. What do you think it is? What I'm referring to is these chopsticks here. They're actually upside down because this isn't how you would grab your chopsticks. So when you're shooting chopsticks, always make sure they point down. There's not really any information on the edges of this photograph, so I wanted to crop in and focus more on the food. I'm also looking at how this napkin comes into the photograph. If this napkin was folded, I wouldn't mind that this edge is so straight, but because it's draped, I did want it to flow a little bit more off to the side. This works better for me. There's not too much I can do with the food styling here, but I do think that there's too many noodles and I would prefer to see more protein. Also, this garnish is a little bit off. I assume they're doing it to have color, but it would work better on the plate itself to give this plate additional purpose outside of holding the chopsticks. Let's look at the food styling on this photo first. I don't love how the edge of this pea matches the edge of the bowl. I think it would have been more purposeful if they lifted it slightly and perhaps it broke the edge. Also here, again, this part of the leaf matches the edge of the bowl, and I feel like if it just stuck out a little bit, for now, I just removed that piece over there. I'm also looking at this leaf right here. It's a little weird that it's placed on top after the smaller garnishes, and it really doesn't feel natural to me, so I would have taken it out. For the utensils, I also don't love that these are forming bunny ears, and would you really eat the soup with 2 utensils? I'm not sure. I removed them for now. I do like the movement that's happening here, but I am missing something in this space here, so I ended up just moving the cactus on the other side. This gives me a little bit more balance. I love steak just as much as the next guy, but looking at this photo, I don't want to eat this steak. I can't make it any juicier, but we can fix a couple things still. Stylistically, there's too much pepper on this plate. When you're doing things like this, you only need to suggest that there's pepper, so a little goes a long way. I cleaned that up, and I think this works better. There's also 2 side dishes in this image. We want the steak to be the hero, so I think only one is necessary. I like the one on top here because at least it's on a different plane. The edges of this plate are getting blown out, and I would ask the photographer to take down the light and get some of that back. I tried to fix it in retouching, but I couldn't get this side, which is a great example of why you should do more on set, just so that you don't have to do as much in retouching. All right, let's look at the steak. It does not look appetizing at all. I think the best we can do is add some contrast and a little bit of saturation. So here we are. We do have some white space on the top left here and then on the bottom right for some additional props. I did fit a wine glass on the bottom right here, which I think fits nicely. For the space up here, I actually didn't want to add an additional prop, but one thing you can do in a photograph to give some atmosphere is just add the shadow. This photograph brings me back to my days when I used to work at Elle Decor. The first thing that I'm looking at is this reflection here. Since we're not seeing the rest of the bathroom, the reflection in the mirror here doesn't really mean anything, and I would ask the photographer to plate the reflection after so I can get a clean shot. For now, we just removed it. The second thing I'm looking at is the plug. There's nothing plugged in, so it doesn't really need to be there, and we can really focus on the products here. I don't love what I call tension in a photograph. The edges here are a little bit too close as they are here, but I also think we can benefit from zooming into the products, so I brought them forward. As we did in the other photograph, there's not actually that much information at the top of this, so we can bring it down slightly. And there's our final image. All right, here's some pumpkin soup. The first thing that I noticed is this shadow on the left side. I think it's weird that the light source is coming this way. For all of my photographs, I always prefer that the light source come from the top left. It feels a little bit more natural to me. So I flip this. There we go. These imposter props for the leaves and the pumpkin seeds aren't really doing anything, and I think they're just there for decoration, so I wanted to remove them. And then in post, you would just clean up some of the soup. Again, I think there's just too many things here. I always find that fabric softens a photograph, so I wanted to add a napkin over here, which I got, and let's not forget the spoons. Let's crop into this photo. Again, there's no information up top. Look, you can see where I dropped in that napkin, which is fine. Here we go. The last thing that I'm looking at is this bowl at the bottom here. I think it's a little bit cleaner if it only bleeds off of one side versus two, so I move that over. So this photograph is about halfway there. I think there's a couple things they could have done on set by perhaps adding something in the foreground or in the background, but right now everything is on the same plane, so it feels a little bit flat. Let's clean up the photo a little bit. I noticed that there's some stray hairs off of the stem here. That could have easily been done in retouching, so I just cleaned that up for now. I'm also noticing a lot of reflections in the bottle. I wanted to reduce that, so I took them out. I did keep this right here just so that it feels a little bit more natural. The reflection on this bottle is really harsh. What you can do is get your composition set, and then when you're done, remove everything, and your photographer can plate this so that you can smooth it out in retouching. This is the best I could do for now. Let's just go with it. Since this is a hero of beauty products, I thought it was weird that this was empty. Again, I know it's a free stock photo, but if you are doing it for an advertiser, they would send you a fresh bottle, or you should go get one. For now, I brought it up. This is looking better. At least the products are cleaned up. I do wish that it had more dimension, and the best thing that I could think of, similar to the steak photo, was to add a shadow to the background just to give it some texture. Let's just crop in real quick, why not? This works for me. It's not bad for a free stock photo. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch. These are just some of the things that I look for when compositing a photograph. Again, just do as much as you can while you're on set so you don't have to rely so much on retouching. I kind of enjoy doing these, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you in the next video.